This is case
Case
study
study
3. So what's the ethical issue? Most of the prototypes were out of operation because of catastrophic failure of the component that had been tested by Jack and Tom's lab. Some of the ethical issues that arises are: first, in terms of proper management of co-op students, it is unthinkable that the important tests such as Jack was running were not closely supervised and the results checked periodically.
Jack knew that he should not falsify the data. All lab courses emphasize the need for accuracy in data taking, but he might not have been sufficiently sensitive to what the consequences of shortcuts in testing might be. If that is the issue, and if that is the ethics of the case, then ethical instruction needs to include such sensitivity to consequences, not just rules of honesty and so on.
The aspects of this case that should produce another issue is the apparent and immediate conclusion by Tom that Jack faked data without any concern about the results of the section. The next, who are the relevant stakeholders?
Tom Mason, as the manager of Material Science Department, is one of the relevant stakeholders since he would be greatly affected by the loss of reputation for the company's less quality products. Project leader Bruce Barton also will be concerned since he was the one assigned in the testing of the prototypes.
What are the facts? First, Tom assigned the test work to Jack Jacobs, an engineering co-op student from the State University. Jack was familiar with the test equipment and previously had done similar test work. Jack was a good student and his co-op work was great. Tom mentioned to Jack that he would need to work carefully to complete the test before returning to state universities. Second, then Tom Mason, the manager of the Material Science Department at XYZ Company, seems to be trustful to the co-op student named Jack Jacobs to do the work regarding stress tests even if he knew how critical the operation would be.
And then, Jack completed the test on schedule and turned in a report to Tom indicating the component had successfully passed the stress test. This is a very good news to Bruce since the test went well and Jack met the schedule in finishing the task given to him by Tom. A few weeks later, Bruce rushed into Tom's office and told him that the most of the prototypes were out of operation because of the catastrophic failure of the component that had been tested in Tom's lab. Bruce wanted to discuss the test immediately with Jack, but since Jack had already returned to the university, he and Tom settled for studying Jack's lab's notebook in detail.
After evaluation, Tom said to Bruce, "I hate to say it, but this data looked too good. I know the equipment and there should be more scatter in the measurements Jack took. I think some, if not all, these measurements are in error, or they have been faked. At best, Jack probably took a few points and extrapolated their success." So there are the facts. So we came up to a conclusion that
The aspect of this case is the apparent and immediate conclusion by Tom that Jack faked the data without any concern about the results of his action. This is like a guy already sentenced without given a chance of redeeming himself. The first action taken by Tom when he learned that the results of the stress test were subject should have been to bring back Jack into discussion, either by telephone or in view of the seriousness of the situation, by paying Jack's expenses to return to the laboratory to discuss the test. If Jack has a valid explanation for the results he obtained, the failure to bring this explanation into consideration could place an irreversible stain on Jack's career because of the hasty accusation.
though in terms of proper management of co-op students, it is unthinkable that the important tests such as Jack was running were not strictly supervised, and the results checked from time to time. Such supervision is the essence of decent laboratory management, and in no way displays a lack of trust in Jack. At the very least, Jack's test results should have been carefully reviewed before he departed. Definitely, We have reason here to question the proficiency of laboratory management in the material science department at XYZ.
That's it.
Thank you. This is
Case study 3. So, what's the ethical issue?
So, what are the facts? First, Tom assigned the test work to Jack Jacob, an engineering co-op student from the state. Okay lang yan, ha? Then, what are the facts? First, Tom assigned... Huwag tumawa ka. Post mo na.
Bakit ko naman yun eh?
So,
Di ba? Uso na.
oh!